What's up, fellow Vanguard nerds? I'm Babblerab, and we are finally done our semester in university, so that means we get to go and bring this channel back to life, which means I'm gonna start posting content again for the next little few weeks before I begin another semester of university. Hooray. So, I'm gonna do something I probably should have done a while ago, which is show you guys the updated builds of my two Nubatama decks. We got the Dominate build here, and we got the hand control build here. So, yeah, this is currently the competitive build, or one of my competitive decks. We got the Bermuda set dropping in probably like less than a week by the time this video will be posted. Hopefully that's going to be tomorrow, so on the 21st. Yes. Crossing my fingers about that. And yeah, other than that, we're going to start with the Dominate deck, and then we're going to move to the hand control deck. I don't know if we're going to do two deck profiles in one video, probably not, so it'll show the hand control deck afterwards, question mark. So yeah, this is my competitive deck at the moment until the Bermuda stuff gets support, and then we'll have some Bermuda decks showing up on the channel as well. So yeah, this is Dominate, and Rinne is just absurd. So we're still playing Madoi. Yeah, he just kind of starts us off and is really, for lack of a better description, really good. And then 4 of the new heal, kind of mandatory. It basically removes any counterblast issues that Nubatama would have had. This thing pretty much like saves the hand control build as well. Like, the crit trigger was good, but this plus the crit trigger means that you're never going to run into counterblast problems, and it's just really good in this deck too. Naroi and unflipping crit. Really not much to say there. The build is 8 crit 4 draw, as I usually play for this. So yeah, and there's the draw trigger. Some people do run, what's-his-face, the stand trigger that goes back into your deck. I'm curious to try it, but other than that, I'm happy with the draws right now. And it's possible that Nubatama, or that if the draw triggers start becoming PGs, we may not even bother with the stands in the future. So, I don't know. Anyway, grade 1s, for Utsuroi, some people run the unflipping PG. I think it's down to personal preference. If you feel as though you're running out of counterblast too quickly, just run the unflipper. I'm running Utsuroi because my hand control deck needs the counterblast more, and I find that the way that this deck is structured, I don't really need the counterblast, or the unflipping for the counterblast that much, because I have other ways to do it. And running 4 Cutter gets an A. It's a stride-based deck. You're going to win by striding, so you probably want to have 4 of him. And this is because I'm not running 8 grade 3s. And then 3 Tengai. Tengai is basically the alternative to running Kurine, which is your unflipping PG. So yeah, everyone should know what this guy does after the Dominate unit is done attacking. Throw him into your soul, countercharge 1. Build soul for some of your other abilities. And it also helps out a lot with the, or it builds soul for Zanki and unflips damage for everything else. And then still running 3 Mamba Danuki. There's some of the new cards that did interest me. I've just stuck with what I knew for now, because this guy still does work fairly well. I can talk, I swear. And I just felt that with Metsu, I wanted to have at least 7 ways to put stuff into my bind zone, as opposed to just relying entirely on Metsu. Plus, this guy binds top 2, so I can toolbox my bind zone still, which is really nice. So yeah, grade 2s, the lineup has changed this time. We're running 2 10Ks. Reason why we're running 2 10Ks is, well, I don't need to explain it. Should be obvious. 10Ks slow the opponent down and make you not die as quick. And then, here's the thing. Because of how Rinne runs, you don't actually find yourself needing Fudai anymore. So I've actually completely cut Fudai from the deck, and I'm running Genkai again. Obviously, if you're wanting, you can just say heck with Genkai entirely and just play 4 10Ks. But I'm running the 2 Genkai because the hand advantage is absolutely amazing with this guy. And then him comboed with another card I've added in, I've been able to build huge hands off of nothing. It's great. And this card is ridiculous. I don't even know the name. Sadatsuga. So what she does is, if you have a Vanguard with Shiranui in its name, it becomes an 11k, who cares? And then at the end of the battle that your other rearguard attacked, you retire and draw a card, and Dominate units count as your rearguards. So we run 4 of it because you can basically say, okay, choose 2 cards from your hand. Okay, now put them on the field. Okay, they're attacking you. Okay, now retire them, and I draw a card. It's not a once. It's a once per turn. If it wasn't a once per turn, this card would be. I don't want to talk about it. The card would not be okay. There's already some stuff in this deck that is not okay. But if this thing didn't lose its ability at the end of the turn, this card would not be okay in the slightest. It'd be like, oh, I'm attacking with all your dominated. Okay, now it's gonna be, well, the deck profile's not G-rated. Oh well, I'm attacking with all your dominated stuffs. Retire them all. I'm drawing lots of cards. Okay, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I'm glad that's a once per turn. I'm both happy and sad that's a once per turn. Because if it wasn't a once per turn, I'd be laughing and making people cry. And if it was, yeah, done. Metsu. Still run 4. 19k by himself is great. You put a booster behind him, he becomes scary. And that's really about it. Plus toolbox your bind zone. Nothing to say. Was considering running Ungai back in the deck. He's not bad. I just don't know what I'd cut him for. Maybe cut Genkai for Ungai, but other than that, that's really the whole story. Zanki. Great card. Basically, you don't need Orboro anymore. I mean, some people run Orboro. I think they run like 4 Zanki, 1 Orboro. I run 4 Zanki, 0 Orboro. And then I'm running Morshige because Morshige is insane. So what this guy does, you guys should know what it does by now, but when he's placed on Vanguard Circle or when you stride, you dominate opponent's units, or choose a unit, gets 2k, and dominate and attacks your opponent's Vanguard. And then you Soul Blast 1 when starting your ride phase. Each of us draw a card. I draw a card, and then everyone chooses a card from the hand, puts it on the field. Like, this is basically not okay. It's like, drop zone, fine, you still have a hand to work with. This version, no longer have a hand. I'm gonna take cards from your hand, put them, and dominate them and attack them. And then we don't talk about Rinne. It's a great card. Phenomenal. Morshige. 3 of them. Because rest one of your units, typically you could rest like him or something, or you could rest Midoi. And then you could, like, he gets power and he's 21k and swing. Easy. Easy. Okay. Moving to the G zone, I have a few things that I kind of want to change with this, but other than that, I'm pretty happy with this. Mandatory. If you're playing any Nubatama deck at all, I don't care what build it is, you run 4 Rinne. This guy closes games by himself. Seldom do I need to stride more than twice with this deck. There's something wrong with that. I've never had decks where I can close a game in 2 strides. Usually that only happens when my opponent is not doing well. This deck tears through my opponent's hand. It could be like 10 cards, it could be 15 cards. I will shred like 5 or 6 cards out of your hand on the first stride. On the second stride, I will take anything else out of your hand, and if you're still alive, congratulations. Rinne is pretty much the deck. Like, I can compare this guy to Gluttony Dogma right now in the fact that he basically polarizes how Nubatama plays. Gluttony Dogma basically forces a particular playstyle on Tachikaze, where it's basically, if you're trying to push for game, you're going Gluttony Dogma. Same thing can be said for Rinne. If you're trying to push for game, you're going Rinne. If you're trying to pressure your opponent, you're going Rinne. If you're trying to pressure your opponent, you're going Gluttony Dogma. This guy really, really polarizes how Nubatama plays, and I'm not sure how much I like that, but the card's absurd, so I'm not going to complain. I mean, honestly, if I had my way right now, this guy would be probably Bander at 2, because it's way too powerful to be at 4. But Bushiroad says that, hey, this card's fine at 4. So you know what? Who am I to argue? I will just keep crushing people's dreams with Rinne and not worry about it. We're running 4 Mugen Lord. I see builds that run 2. I see builds that run no Mugen Lord and 2 Magan Tenbu. This is, I think, personal preference to an extent. I kind of want to cut Mugen Lord for either Magan Tenbu or some G-Guards. So that'll put me up to 6 G-Guards. It's just a little much in my mind. 4 to 5 is the good number, but this basically because I couldn't think of really what else to run. Mugen Lord's kind of is good anyway. If the opponent overcommits, you just punish them with Mugen Lord. So that's good. You know, this is like, before this guy was how you ended games. Now you go Rinne, and then if they're still alive, you pray to God that Mugen Lord can do things, but, you know, sometimes that doesn't happen. So we got Makuro, just play 1. Sukumorikan. I'm not playing Drachma. I actually went and thought this through after saying, hey, I should get a Drachma for this deck. I don't believe that Dominate by itself needs Drachma. This is, mind you, this is coming from a guy who who's never had a Drachma before. But I feel as though if you're winning, it'll let you win, but why would you not just go into either Mugen Lord or Rinne in that case? And if you're trying to seal a game at a disadvantage, Drachma doesn't do a whole lot from what I think, for lack of a better description. So for everyone who's like, oh no, Drachma's the best card, I will probably proxy it and test that to see if I eat my own words. But as it currently stands, I don't believe Drachma has a place in Dominate just because it doesn't do enough to help the deck. So with that in mind, we're still running the GB8 because this guy can close games. Again, I apologize to everybody who's like, no, Drachma's an amazing card in Dominate. I will proxy and test it, but yeah, on paper, he doesn't seem like he has a place. And then we got Seabreeze, because guess what? You're stride-based. Should be pretty obvious. Zakishi Hime. What is this guy called? Gando Kurakan. He's actually really good. There's just one problem, and then running the 2 of the Dominate G-Guards. That should be pretty obvious. So my problem with this is that if the opponent's sitting at 3 cards, crap. If the opponent is sitting at more than 3 cards, this guy's fine. Like, this is a direct upgrade over the original Ahmed Badushi or whatever his name is. I can't remember his name. These guys have great names. But the issue is that if the opponent has a low number of cards in hand already when you're doing attacks, this guy doesn't do a whole... Or when he's attacking, this guy doesn't do a whole lot. So, like, if your opponent's going to throw, like, their whole hand on the board and be like, ha, attack you with everything, and it's like, oh, this is a problem. This guy doesn't heal. This guy doesn't do enough. So what I want to do is probably cut Mugen Lord down to 2, and then either put another Stride unit, maybe a second Sukumarikan or a second Makuro. Or maybe a Drachma, and then put a 5th G-Guard in, or alternatively I just run 6 G-Guards, so. But yeah, that's my current mentality with that, because I feel as though the G-Guards don't fully cover everything that I need them to cover with the deck. But anyway, this is my current build of my Dominate deck. If you're planning on getting into it, it's kind of expensive, question mark? I don't remember, I've had the deck since, like, whenever. But yeah, it's a ton of fun to play, and it's pretty stupid because Rinne is ridiculous. But other than that, that's great, and I love it. So yeah, we will talk to you guys in the next video, which is our hand control build, and I will once again be talking about how absurd Rinne is, probably. So yeah, peace.